Trump's impeachment. The purpose of the impeachment by the Democrats in the Congress is the same as the purpose that they had when they did the special counsel Mueller investigation. They are just trying to create headlines to smear and besmirch the president's reputation and create the impression that he's done something wrong. Why do I say headlines? Because the mainstream media is in league and the instrument of the Democratic Party, and they will use every leak that the Democrats get out of that shift, that secure place where they're interviewing people in secret. And they interview them in secret because that way they can say and spin whatever they want. Nobody gets a chance in the public to see what was actually said. And therefore, they can continue to create the headlines. Now, of course, this will have an effect on the election. That's the whole point. In fact, a lot of people are very distant from politics, and they just hear like a lot of stuff going on about Trump and impeachment. And they come to the conclusion, oh, there must be something wrong here. This man must have done something bad, and that's enough for them to vote against him. And that's all the Democrats really want. This worked perfectly in the Mueller investigation. They created all those false headlines. Schiff lied to the public constantly. And then what happened? We got Pelosi and a Democratic Congress. That's how they won. That's how they won all those seats. Because they created the impression that Trump had done something illegal. And we know that Trump didn't do anything illegal because Mueller submitted his report and didn't find anything illegal. No collusion with the Russians, like the Democrats said constantly and all the mainstream media people said constantly. And there was no obstruction of justice. They didn't file any charges against him because there wasn't any evidence. So that's the main purpose. Now, of course, if they can find something to pin on the president, well, that's an added bonus. So what they're doing is an illegal research, opposition research investigation, or an investigation by the government or a branch of the government without any probable cause. So they don't have any probable cause in this impeachment hearing. There wasn't anything illegal in that conversation. Everybody can read the transcript and they know that there wasn't anything illegal. But these Democrats, Pelosi and the rest, can spin the hearing in a way that creates those headlines, and enough people will be influenced to vote against Trump. That's all they're really after. Now, what's wrong with that? Why is it that the government cannot have the right, any branch of the government, to investigate a person just to see if they can find a crime against him? And we have a Fourth Amendment in the United States of America, and it says that you cannot file charges against someone without probable cause. There isn't any probable cause here. There was no probable cause. There wasn't any probable cause in the Mueller investigation. The same thing. And in order for there to be probable cause, a witness has to affirm under oath that the president committed a crime. And what crime he is supposed to have committed. Abuse of power is not a crime. There is no statute that says abuse of power. You have to identify a crime. That's the most elementary thing in any judicial process. You have to identify what you're accusing the person of, or else how can they defend themselves? Specifically, what crime under the statutes of the U.S. Code of the United States is being violated? so far, I haven't heard one single reference to the U.S. Code and a specific article there where he is supposed to have violated that article. Now, of course, Pelosi is totally hypocritical and a liar because she said that she wouldn't go forward with this hearing unless there was bipartisan support. There was a vote recently, and there have been 3 other votes before that. The 3 first votes as to whether to impeach President Trump, all of them lost. So until they started this secret hearing in this secret location in the shift where nobody can really find out what's being said, the Congress as a whole had said, no, we don't want to impeach. Now, Pelosi on her own started an investigation. That's totally illegal and unconstitutional. The Speaker of the House cannot start an impeachment inquiry. She doesn't have that power. There has to be a vote by the Congress. And so the only 3 votes that there were against impeachment. So you can't go from no impeachment to impeachment without a vote in the Congress. Now, finally, they did have a vote just recently, a couple of days ago, a few days, and they didn't really identify the articles that they were going to impeach him on. What were the crimes? What is the crime? So the Fourth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution prevents that, and there's a good reason why. If the government can investigate you, or the president for that matter, without any probable cause, without anybody affirming a specific violation with specific evidence, then everybody is under threat. In this case, they're all under threat by Pelosi and the Democratic Congress. Now, when they did have the vote, like I mentioned before, it wasn't bipartisan. In fact, there was two congressmen that from the Democrats that voted against impeachment. So the bipartisanness was in favor of not impeaching, but they went ahead and decided to continue with the impeachment inquiry and continue with the secret investigation, the secret hearings, the secret witnesses, and we don't get a chance to see what was said. But they will leak, even though it's illegal to leak, and you should go to jail if you leak. They leak to their favorite reporters in the mainstream media. And so it's just a combination of these Democrats with the mainstream media to create bad headlines and to see if maybe they could find something. I mean, if you investigate anyone, there's so many laws in the United States that shouldn't exist. There's so many laws that basically any human being that they investigate forever, you'll be able to find something on him, especially Pelosi, but nobody's investigating her that way anyway, without any probable cause. So that's what's going on with the impeachment. I think that you should all consider the implications of this. The implications are, of course, that any Congress from one party can get the other party's president out of office by creating an impeachment without any safeguards, in secret hearings, in secret investigations, that nobody knows what's going on, and create a lot of headlines. If they're lucky, actually identify a crime. Now that's the game plan here. And it worked with the Mueller report. So I hope it doesn't work with this conversation with Ukraine, this transcript, which the transcript is public. So I don't understand why you cannot just read the transcript and come to your own conclusions, because the evidence, the supposed illegality, the quid pro quo, is supposed to be in the headline. Now, regarding this quid pro quo, which now Pelosi now says you don't need a quid pro quo, all you need is a quid. So anyway, let's go over that a moment here, because the implication of what these Democrats are arguing is that no candidate for the primary of the United States for one party that's involved in an election can be investigated. Doesn't matter how corrupt or how many illegal things he did, because then it looks like, or you're accused of, trying to get a candidate out of the primary. That's ridiculous. There is no such guarantee that you won't be investigated. You can always be investigated for corrupt actions. And there's something very obvious in this case. There is probable cause, because the Vice President Joe Biden himself, he admitted and boasted about using a quid pro quo to stop an investigation of a company that was paying his son upwards of $50,000 a month for God knows who, for what, because he doesn't have any expertise in this area, and he wasn't really contributing. And guess what? Joe Biden, like he boasted, was successful in getting them to fire the prosecutor so he wouldn't investigate his son. Now that on its face is illegal, and they should have he should have the right, Trump should have the right to inquire about that. And it's not illegal to investigate corruption. So if somebody is committing corrupt acts where they are threatening extortion, blackmail, extortion, another country to do something like Biden did, in this case, fire the prosecutor, or else they will withhold funds, well, that's illegal. But if you read the transcript, you will see that there was no mention of any withholding of any funds. In fact, the president of the Ukraine said that he wasn't pressured, and that he wasn't even aware that the funds were stopped for momentarily for two reasons. Well, because Trump wanted to get some money from other countries, which is a good thing, and so, they wanted to have some time in order to get the money or pressure other countries to cough up some money so the United States doesn't have to pay for the whole amount, which in fact the United States should not be paying anything to any country. It's against the America First policy. So that doesn't make any sense, what the Democrats are arguing. And of course, they, like I said before, they moved the goalpost. So now they said it's not necessary to have a quid pro quo, just a quid. I don't know what the quid is. I guess it's, can you do me this favor to check to see if there was actual corruption in the investigation? Did the prosecutor, and there's an affidavit by the prosecutor who was fired that says that he was fired. Why? Because he was investigating Joe Biden's son. Not his son, but the company that was paying his son. So indirectly his son. So this is all the nonsense that's going on, and I really hope it's not successful, because if a sitting Congress can get rid of a sitting president by impeaching him over nothing, like in this case, well, we're in trouble, because the whole system will collapse. And that is not what our founding fathers intended. So please give me your comments. Let me know what you think. And I hope you enjoyed this little monologue. Bye-bye.